Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Minash. Today's episode continues the discussion of the structural failure at the former Pfizer headquarters in Midtown Manhattan, where a massive office-to-residential conversion suffered localized structural distress during the construction. The investigation has only begun. Engineers have not yet reached any conclusions about the root cause, and it would be inappropriate to speculate, although I did do a little bit of that yesterday. The building may be ultimately repaired, strengthened, and safely completed, or investigators may determine that more extensive reconstruction is required. We just don't know yet. But even before the engineering investigation is complete and the building is given a healthy verdict, another consequence has already begun to unfold, and that's reputation. Real estate is built on confidence. Lenders finance confidence. Investors finance confidence. Same with insurance companies. But most importantly, residents lease confidence. And when confidence disappears, so does value. We saw this after the collapse of the Champlain Towers in Surfside, Florida. The tragedy permanently changed how buyers view aging condominium buildings. Reserve studies became front-page news. Deferred maintenance became a deal breaker. Insurance premiums exploded, and financing became more difficult. Thousands of condo owners across Florida found themselves facing six-figure special assessments simply because the market had fundamentally repriced structural risk. Whether it's fair or not, that event changed public perception, and this project now faces a similar challenge. Imagine being the leasing agent trying to fill 1,600 luxury apartments. Now, that's not quite accurate because a quarter of those apartments are affordable under a deal that was struck with the city. See, the first question from every prospective tenant is not going to be about the amenities, the fitness center, or the proximity to Grand Central. It's going to be, wait a minute, isn't this the building that almost collapsed? Even if independent engineers certify the building as completely safe, rebuilding the public trust will be far more difficult than repairing the steel. You see, people don't evaluate risk statistically. They evaluate risk emotionally. Air travel, for example, remains one of the safest forms of transportation. Yet still, a lot of people fear flying more than driving. The same psychology applies to real estate. Once a building becomes associated with a structural failure, that image can persist long after every engineering deficiency has been corrected. That reputational damage is probably going to translate directly into economics. Leasing could take a lot longer. Concessions may be required. Effective rents could fall far below the financial model. Lenders may demand higher reserves. Future purchasers may discount the asset because of the perceived additional risk. All of these effects ultimately reduce the value of the property. And maybe the biggest long-term impact won't be felt by this building, it'll be felt by every office conversion project that follows. Insurance markets rarely react to individual projects in isolation. They react to loss experience across an entire category. Builders' risk insurers spend enormous effort trying to understand probability. Now, when a significant structural event happens on a project involving major vertical additions to an existing office tower, underwriters naturally ask whether this represents an isolated design issue or whether it reveals a broader category of risk that has been underpriced. If the answer is uncertain, premiums will increase. Not because every project is unsafe, but because uncertainty has a cost associated with it. Builders' risk insurance has already become substantially more expensive over the last few years. Number one, due to higher inflation, due to supply chain disruptions, weather events, and large construction losses. Office-to-residential conversions may now become their own underwriting category. Insurers may require more detailed structural peer review before issuing policies. Independent third-party design reviews could become mandatory. Developers might be required to install additional structural monitoring during construction, and temporary shoring plans might receive far greater scrutiny. Construction sequencing might require independent engineering certification at multiple milestones. Some insurers might even limit coverage for projects involving significant vertical additions to the existing structures until more data becomes available. Every single one of those requirements adds cost. Developers think of insurance as a fixed line item in the budget, but in reality, insurance reflects the market's assessment of uncertainty. When uncertainty rises, insurance becomes a lot more expensive, and the impact won't stop there. Lenders frequently rely on insurers as an independent assessment of construction risk. If builders' risk premiums rise, then lenders might interpret that as evidence that the project itself carries greater execution risk. That might increase the cost of borrowing. Contingency requirements might increase. Equity requirements might increase. Projects that previously met underwriting thresholds might no longer work. And ironically, many office conversions are already financially fragile. Their construction costs are high, the financing remains expensive, and the existing structures often conceal surprises that can't be discovered until demolition is started. The economics are challenging even under ideal conditions. Adding another layer of insurance costs could be enough to make marginal projects flip upside down, and that would be unfortunate. Office conversions remain one of the few practical ways to repurpose obsolete commercial buildings while increasing the housing supply in dense urban environments. Cities desperately need successful examples, and the industry can't afford a loss of confidence in an entire asset class because 2 columns failed in one high-profile incident. For that reason, the engineering investigation into this project is likely to become one of the most closely studied forensic reports for years to come. Structural engineers around the world are going to read it. Insurance underwriters are going to scrutinize it. Lenders are going to read it. And developers contemplating similar projects are going to read it as well. Not because they're looking for someone to blame, but they're looking for the lessons. Every major structural failure has changed engineering practice. The Hyatt Regency walkway collapse changed connection design. The Citicorp Tower redesign changed the understanding of quartering wind loads. We talked a little bit about that in yesterday's episode. The collapse of the Quebec Bridge transformed bridge engineering. The Surfside tragedy fundamentally changed condo reserve policies. And this project will almost certainly leave its own legacy. The question isn't whether the industry will learn from it. The question is how expensive those lessons will ultimately become. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.